Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, episode number 106. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, I just want to take a minute and thank you for sharing your time with me. I truly do believe that time is our greatest asset. And the fact that you're willing to share and invest your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So thank you so much for being present with me for the next little bit. I want to talk today about the topic of freedom and flexibility and the importance and impact it has on our lives and our business and our future and our careers and how we proceed towards any goal that we might have set for ourselves, whether it's business, personal, whatever it might be. Freedom and flexibility is a really important conversation piece to have. And this is why. I know for myself, and I shared this with you, when I got into real estate as an entrepreneur back in 2001, I left the hospitality industry because I was not just a little lacking of freedom and flexibility, it was massive, where, my time was really dictated by what was happening at the hotel, what events were going on, what was happening in each one of the departments that I was in charge of. And what was happening at the last leg of my career in hospitality was I found myself arriving at the property, at the hotel by 5 a.m. and normally leaving somewhere around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, sometimes later, very rarely earlier. And that was really 6 days a week. Sunday was a little bit lighter of a day, yet not very often. And so when I really stepped back and assessed what was going on, income was great. All the benefits package was amazing. However, the lack of freedom and flexibility was really crushing my soul and my spirit, if you will. And I realized it was time to make a change. So I entered into the real estate world in 2001. And what was entertaining, I guess you could say, or fascinating about this was slowly I went back to old habits. Slowly, I was making myself available 24/7. Slowly, I wasn't experiencing any freedom or flexibility because I was so connected to and consumed with getting another client, and not missing an opportunity that I really got back to lack of freedom and flexibility pretty quickly. And it wasn't until a coach brought it to my attention that there's a different way to do things and brought me back to the reason why I got into real estate, or the reason why I became an entrepreneur, was to be able to experience freedom and flexibility at a really high level and to honor that so that I wasn't going to burn out like I did in the hospitality industry. And I'll be honest with you, this took a couple of years when I started to realize what was happening through the lens of freedom and flex. And because I had an awesome coach, that I was starting to feel frustrated. I was starting to feel burnt out. I was starting to feel disconnected from my business because it wasn't fueling something that was really important to me. So I'm grateful for that opportunity, and I'm grateful for the decisions that I made to get back on track. And I want to share those with you today so that if you are an entrepreneur that got into whatever industry you are in to experience freedom and flexibility, that I remind you of that, remind you of the importance, and potentially help you get back on track to experiencing what that is like for you. For me, freedom and flexibility, and I think this is really important, is to define what does it mean for you. For me, it meant and means the ability to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And that's really important, that I can take time off and go on a trip. I can help a friend out who's experiencing maybe not a great time in their financial world. Or I can take somebody on a trip with me that maybe couldn't afford it, yet they're who I want to and who I'm choosing to spend time with. And to be able to just tell them not to worry, just to show up at the airport, I got it, is a really great feeling. So for me, that's freedom and flexibility. For some people, it's working a 30-hour work week. And I know several successful entrepreneurs who are able to do just that. And that is creating freedom and flexibility for them. So there's a lot of different definitions of what it can look like for you. And I think it's important that you connect to that and figure out what that is, because it will make a difference for you moving forward. What I know to be 100% true is we do a values elicitation here at Rethink Coaching. And we do this values elicitation through the lens of business or through the lens of life, relationship, whatever it is that you want to focus on. But for the sake of this, when we do the values elicitation through the lens of business, and it's not like your moral compass values, it's what's important to you in your business, freedom and flexibility are 98% of the time in the top 5 core values for entrepreneurs. Fun can be in there. Money can be in there. A lot of different things can be in there. But I will tell you, the one consistent that we experience is freedom and flexibility. So it's important to figure out what it is for you. And if you haven't thought about it, I want to invite you to think about it, because you deserve it. And we definitely earn it as entrepreneurs, 100%. So come up with what your value is and honor it and really take it to heart, because doing this one thing can tremendously change your experience in your business and in your life. So right now, you might be experiencing it a little, or you might feel like your business controls you more than you control it. You might be working long hours. You might be working evenings, holidays, during family time. You might be experiencing lack of control and the business controlling you, which is a symptom of not having freedom and flexibility. And I think some of this is just a bad habit. I mean, part of the reason why I did it when I first became an entrepreneur in the real estate lane was because, quite honestly, I had to pay the bills and I wanted to be available, and I really couldn't afford to miss an opportunity. I went from a very nice salary and benefit package in the hospitality industry to being self-employed, self-insured, self-funded retirement. And I didn't really change my lifestyle when I left that salary. So for me, I was really busy working to recreate that. And I got into the habit of being just available 7 days a week. You just never know when somebody was going to walk into an open or walk into the brokerage office and need help, or call on a sign call, a yard sign, the for sale sign in a client's yard. And that became a habit. And that, I believe, is what led me to lack of freedom and flexibility, was that I just conditioned myself that that's how it was supposed to be. So my business was definitely controlling me, and I was not controlling it. So I want to teach you a few things that you can do to earn that back, and know that, there is another side to this. It's possible for anybody and everybody to experience a degree of freedom and flexibility. Yes, do I think there are seasons to our business? 100%. And that can change, right? Just depending on what's going on. And I think the biggest thing that impacts our ability to experience freedom and flexibility on the regular is consistency in showing up and building a healthy pipeline of future clients in whatever industry that you're in. So you don't have to feel like you're always on. You don't have to feel like it's 24/7. You don't have to feel like you've got to do more, that you can actually do less if you have the right focus on what matters the most. So I have a little exercise that I'm going to ask you to do. So if you're listening to this, hit pause if you don't have a piece of paper in front of you. And I really do want you to do this activity, because this is one of the best ways to shine the light on a potential blind spot that you have, that you're risking your freedom and flexibility, and that we're focused on the wrong more, that we're not doing the right more. Like, we can do less if we focus on the right more that leads us to freedom and flexibility. So I just want you to take out a piece of paper, and on the left side of it, I want you to number it 1 through 10. And I want you to write down your 10 weekly activities that you do on the regular. They're reoccurring. It could look like I talk to 5 people a day. It could be I hold 3 open houses a week. It could be I attend business networking events twice a week. It could be I spend 3 hours on TikTok. It could be a variety of things. What I want you to do is get really aware of the constant activities that you do, the 10 of them that you do the most on a weekly. So go ahead and write that down. If you need to pause this, which I would highly encourage until you write that down, I would do. If you are driving or you're not in a place that you can do this, listen through the exercise. You can do some of this mentally, but this would be something I would encourage you to go do once you get back in a place that you have time to reflect on this and actually make it work for you. Now, once you have those items listed out, I want you to think about them in terms of, are they high value or low value? So let's say, for example, I have one of my activities that I do on the regular, which is current for me, to go to 2 business networking opportunities a week. And when I do that, I actually get leads. I get leads on people who want coaching. I actually get leads on people who want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I can refer out. It's high value, meaning it drives results. And I actually enjoy it. So is it high value or low value? Meaning get results, don't get results. And is it an activity that I love doing or I don't love doing? And this is the next step. So on that paper that you've listed, I want you to create 4 columns. The first one is high value. The second is low value. The third is love doing. And the fourth is don't love doing. And I want you to go and I want you to check the activity. Is it high value or low value? So you put a check mark under that column. That's appropriate. And then a check mark whether you love doing it or don't love doing it. And just go with your gut. All right. So let's just say for me, the networking is high value and I love it. I like connecting with people. I like networking. I like helping other entrepreneurs and business owners out. And in return, I get help. So for me, that's a high value, love doing activity. You can have a high value activity that you don't love doing. It's possible. And you can have a low value activity that you love doing. Let's say it's TikTok. And let's say you really enjoy being on TikTok an hour or 2 a day. No judgment. Unless you're getting leads from that or you're growing your business, it's a low value, but you might love it. So take a minute and go through your list of 10 and check if it's high value or low value. And then check the appropriate column if it's something you love doing or don't love doing. So again, if you need to hit pause to do this, please do. And then continue with me. What I want you to consider is we should have, in an ideal world, out of the 10 items, 3 high value activities that you love doing. We should have 3. If we don't, we might have a high value with a don't love. And I want us to think about that for a minute. What I don't want us to do is give a whole lot of attention to low value, love, or low value, don't love. I don't want to give that too much attention, but I do want us to think about something. Once you rate it, high value versus low value, love doing versus don't love doing, I want you to look at that list and I want us to sort it by high value to low value. And we'll get to the love, don't love. And then I want you to put down the approximate amount of time you're giving to that activity on the regular. So if we're doing it weekly, how much time per week are you giving to that activity? For me, example, the networking opportunities, I would give 3 hours a week to it because you've got to travel, get there, network, spend some time, then you leave and you do it again. So I would say it's 3 hours. If I had a low value activity, let's just say I was cold calling and and I've been doing it for 6 months and I haven't got a dang lead, but I still do it. And to be honest, I don't love doing it. I'd want to track how much time I'm spending per week doing that. So that might be an hour a day. So I might be giving 5 hours a week to an activity that is not getting me results. And it's most likely draining me when I'm done with the activity. If it's an activity you love doing, you're going to leave it pretty charged up and feeling positive about it versus, it being a drain. Like, don't love it. It's not filling me. I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it. So I want you to take a minute and assess the amount of time each one of those activities are doing. Once we do that, we really should now go back and look at the sort of high value items. And if it's a high value item that you don't love doing, chances are it's a limiting belief or a story that you're carrying around about that activity that's making you believe you don't love it. For example, like if I had a cold call, okay, that is not my jam. I'm not judging. I have a lot of clients who cold call and are extremely successful at attracting clients through that activity. It doesn't work for me. Have I tried it? Yes. Did I immediately know that it just wasn't my jam? Yes. So it's low value and I don't love doing it. But let's just say for grins, it was high value, but I still don't love doing it. Chances are I'm carrying around some limiting beliefs. Like I'm struggling before I start that activity. So it might appear to be on my schedule, time to do cold calling. And I know that it works because I've got history of getting results, which is phenomenal. And I also know that I dread it every single time I do it. And if I sit in it, I realize the story I am telling myself before I pick up the phone or I take the action item to get into action about cold calling. What if I'm bothering somebody? What if somebody hangs up on me? What if somebody yells at me? What if somebody asks me a question I can't answer? What if? And we might be creating these stories that are making us not love it. When the reality is people clearly are responsive because we're getting results. And if I can be really honest, I've never had anybody scream at me or treat me poorly. They may tell me not to call them again, but the fear that we hold usually never comes true, but we're holding on to that story at a really high level. So I could turn that high value item into something that I actually love doing by simply changing the thought around it. You know what? When I talk to people, they're pretty nice. They're responsive. They don't hang up on me. They say yes or no pretty quick. And I've actually made some great clients from doing it. I can think of 4 or 5 of them that I really have enjoyed working with and have become friends. So actually cold calling is a really good activity. I just have to change my story around it. Whatever you do, the goal is to get you 3 high value, love doing activities. So you might have to change the don't love to love part, but the high value is really important. And then I want you to look at the other items that are low value. And what if we reallocated that time? What if I took the amount of time I was spending doing an activity over and over and over that wasn't getting me a result, and I gave myself that time back, number one, or I allocated it to high impact activity? I mean, if I'm getting results and it's a high value activity and I'm getting results, and I was spending another 2 hours a day with my time on low value, wouldn't it make sense that if I gave that 2 hours to a high value activity, that I would get more results? And high value love doing that when the task was over and I was done with that item for the day, I would actually leave feeling pretty good, feeling energized, feeling satisfied, experience maybe a little bit of joy and happiness, and really getting to see the results. What I want to do here is clear up the space of doing the wrong things and reallocating that time to either doing more high value activity or just removing it. It's not doing you any good. If I'm wasting, let's say 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week on low value, would it hurt my business if I stopped doing it? It wouldn't. It would actually invigorate you. And my belief is, remember I said you might actually be able to do less and get more. This isn't about always doing more. Yes, we may allocate a little bit more of that time to a high value activity. However, my belief is if we eliminate the low value, we clear the space for things to show up. We clear the space for the right client to show up. We clear the space to actually enjoy and experience freedom and flexibility, because I've cleared my schedule of 15 hours of activities that aren't really doing what I need them to do. This is one of the biggest gifts I gave to myself when I sat and I assessed exactly what I was doing and the time I was spending doing it, because I really was tricking myself thinking, that this busyness meant success, and it didn't. I just wanted to make myself feel better. I wanted to look better to my peers, and I was constantly working. But what I was doing was drifting further and further away from my value of freedom and flexibility because I was constantly busying myself with low value activities. I just wasn't aware I was doing it. It just was a habit, and it made me feel good to be busy. And man, once I did this and trusted the process, did the results change? Even if I didn't do more, let's just say I didn't reallocate that low value time to a high value activity. Even if I didn't do more, I created space to do things for myself, my friends, my family. I created the space for great things to show up. The moment I made the decision, I felt like I got into the flow and things were falling into place. Like I was like, well, that's a coincidence that this happened. Or can you believe that this person reached out to me? Or can you believe this phenomenal opportunity showed up? I don't think any of that is coincidence. I think it's a synchronicity that you've cleared the space of the low value, created the space for the right things to show up. You start enjoying your business more. You give yourself some more time back to focus on your freedom and flexibility, whatever that means to you. And you start to enjoy your business at a really high level. This is one of the activities that I would highly encourage you to do on your quest for freedom and flexibility. Get rid of the activities that are not high value. Now, caveat here, please hear me out. You need to have at least 3 high value activities that when focused on would get you to your goal. I never want anybody to say, well, I took your advice and I missed my goal because I gave up all of these activities and I failed. Really assess your high value. Assess those 3 items and make sure that they're enough to get you to goal. You might have to have 4 or 5 high value items. You might until you get further along in your career. I firmly believe you only need 3. That's how I've run my business. That's how I coach my clients is let's pick 3 high value activities, focus on that, and that will get us to goal. And that'll get us to about 80-85% of goal. The other 20 to 15% shows up because you've created the space for it. So it could be, business out of the blue. It could be an internet lead. It could be a variety of things that show up because you've created the space for it to show up. This one assessment can be your ticket to freedom and flexibility. This one, get real, get right, get honest with yourself about what you're doing with your time can be the ticket to freedom and flexibility. So remember, we're going to take a sheet of paper. We're going to write out 10 items and activities that we do on the regular. Then we've got 4 columns next to that. High value, low value, love doing, don't love doing. And we're going to score those accordingly. There's only going to be 2 check marks. It's either high value, low value. It's either love or don't love. That's it. And we're going to want to sort this list from high value to low value. So we want to get our high value activities on the top. And then we want to go through and look at how much time we're spending in each one of those activities per week and look at the time that we're wasting. And I say that because we are on the low value activity. There's your ticket to some freedom and flexibility. But before you eliminate anything, as a business owner, entrepreneur, you need to make sure it's the right decision for you. It would be very irresponsible for me to say, just eliminate it and focus on those 3 things. You have to assess it. You have to assess that they're enough to get me to goal. Then if that was my sole focus, those 3 items, it would get me to goal. If you know that it is not enough for you, if it's a high value item and you've gotten 2 leads all year, but that's one of your highest value items, that's probably not going to get you to goal. So we need to focus on how we can change that. So please do not just say, well, you told me this, I eliminated all the low value and now I'm broke. That's not the intention. You've got to be more strategic. But I do believe if you focused on the high value activities and gave that your focus and attention, your results would change. If you need help to assess for yourself and your business, please just reach out to me. Tony@rethinkcoaching.com, easiest way to find me. You can find me on all the social outlets, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. You can Google me, get my cell phone number for heaven's sake. and reach out to me, and I will give you a link, or we'll schedule a free 1-hour strategy session, and we can look through your items and figure out what strategy would work best for you. Please do not just willy-nilly cancel activities without strategically looking at this to make sure that the activities you've chosen will get you to goal. We still have to be and do to get what we want, to get to the have. And part of that is picking the right activities. So have any questions, reach out to me. I love this assessment. It gets real, get right with where you're spending your time and where you're wasting your time, and how you can change that and make the greatest impact in the less amount of time and be on your journey to freedom and flexibility. Thanks so much for being here. I will talk to you all next week. Make it a good one.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.